Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for calling this hearing, and thank you to our witnesses for sharing your expertise on how we de-risk the U.S. supply chain, the drug supply, build greater resilience from China. Dr. Wazinska, you were very direct in your recommendations. Thank you very much. You stated the U.S. cannot and should not try to buy its way out of every vulnerability in the drug supply chain. Instead, focus on a realistic de-risking strategy to reduce the most serious China-related risks to American patients. And you started your testimony, you gave us four strategic things to think about. And your first was focusing on the chemical precursors, the reagents, the solvents. They differ across drugs. Can you summarize for us what good is happening in the U.S. government right now when it comes to that recommendation, and what would you go a little deeper on your recommendations on what we should focus on?
So there are some efforts to engage. Again, I mentioned ASPR's budget. They are leaning in, but last I remember it was $30 million that was appropriated, assigned to that effort. So again, it's not enough. There are efforts, there are domestic manufacturers that are trying to de-risk their supply chains fully. We're actually lucky on the antibiotic side. It's somewhat easier to fully de-risk it from China because the products, the API is still made in Europe. So I believe Patrick is actually procuring his product from European facilities. So there are great opportunities. The first steps are actually not chemically synthesized, they're fermented. So there's a lot of action going on over there. We are thinking about stockpiling API to buy us time in case of a crisis. There are efforts, actually going back to NIH, there are some researchers in Stanford that have developed a way to synthesize to basically grow API in yeast, so entirely avoiding chemical synthesis. And now they're licensing it to a number of manufacturers and are working with one of them to actually entirely sidestep chemical synthesis. So there are pockets that are really important, really great, but not at the scale that we would want. And again, this is where we need Congress to step in.
And FDA has an indispensable role here as well. And I know at the Energy and Commerce Committee, where I also serve, we were kind of debating the future of the FDA. They've done critical work in predicting and responding to shortages, overall shortages in the past. But they have very limited authorities, and access to certain manufacturing data is very, very opaque. You previously worked as the Director of Economics at FDA, and one of the things I look at the current administration that I think is so harmful when it comes to everything that we want to do and invest in, unfortunately when you look at FDA to help better arm them and help address shortages, is that the administration eliminated over 3,500 positions at the FDA. That's 15 to 20% of the overall workforce. What impact will that have on America's ability to tackle some of these problems?
So I am actually not aware of how the extent to which the cuts actually affected the staff at the drug shortage team and those that support it. What I can say where FDA is very limited and has been limited for a really long time is on manufacturing quality oversight. And you know, something that I would like to clarify, I am concerned about the manufacturing quality of products that are coming from India. But when I suggest that we should work with India, I don't necessarily mean that we somehow swipe this under the rug. I do think that there are other ways that we can pursue that to support FDA. It's not just about giving FDA more staff, although this is really important so they can do the inspections. You know, FDA is sort of like a traffic cop trying to enforce speed limits. and they can only be in so many places, and they're also visible on the freeway a mile away. So we need to sort of think differently about how we support FDA in this effort, and I have actually last October proposed a solution to this that would shift a lot more accountability towards Indian manufacturers when it comes to manufacturing quality, really supporting FDA and allowing FDA to be much more efficient in the work that they do. And I'm happy to share that proposal.
Good, I'll look forward to that. Thank you very much. I yield back.